I went to Peru.
Right.
And the
Amazon rainforest.
Amazon rainforest, aye. God, when was that, man? It must have been about 4 years ago now.
And there was a specific reason you were going there as well, Darren. I don't know if I take it you're alright to talk about this.
Aye.
So you were going to. Well, what were you doing there?
All inclusive, mate.
Stowy holiday.
No, I went over. It's because I did Trust Me with my best pal Jodie Whittaker, Doctor Who.
And she was also a doctor in that as well, I heard.
Yes, she was. She's a doctor in everything. No, but I met somebody there. I won't name him. I met somebody there that I when I was sitting having a cup of tea, I heard them talking about this, ayahuasca and like DMT and stuff.
Yeah, so like hallucinogenic sort of drug experience kind of thing.
And it was always something that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And when I heard that guy talk about it, I was like, mate, how do you do that? And he actually had contact information. So I thought, fuck it, man. It's now or never. I'm very much living in a wee bubble in Glasgow. I don't really like travelling. And I looked at that as like completely something that's against the grain of what I would do.
Yeah.
So I thought, go over. It was for 3 weeks. Take ayahuasca. Basically lived in a fucking mud hut. It was a hut. It had a roof.
Made of mud.
It was on mud. It had a roof and just mosquito nets, so there was no doors to it or anything.
Aye.
And it was a bed, a table, and I was over there for nearly 3 weeks.
Yourself or you with other people?
I knew a guy that was there that was Scottish, and someone booked with me that wasn't that much of a friend, but it was.
And there was 3 years, and then there was a group of people.
There was like together. 13 years there.
Right.
All French people, Spanish.
And all there for the purpose to have this sort of psychedelic experience, or
Yeah.
Right.
So
what happens then when you turn up and all this kind of stuff?
Yeah, it was pretty. Because, you're a stand-up comedian, so you're like, I could probably get jokes for this.
Aye.
Aye.
It's a long way to go to get material.
Get jokes or get a show from it, and then 4 days in, I'm just sitting in this mud hut, like, I'm not getting jokes for this. But part of the process is you go over for a couple of weeks, you take ayahuasca 6 times.
Right.
It's ayahuasca, day off, ayahuasca, day off for 6 times.
Uh-huh.
And you go, you need to go through this detox, which I never did. The guy was like, no junk food,
cutting corners,
no fizzy juice for 10 days.
Uh-huh.
So 2 days before I left, I was sitting in my mate's house in Moulton eating a munchie box and tanning 2 litres of Diet Coke. I was like, one last binge before I go. And
why that affected your sort of experience?
I think it did, because I went over really unfit. I was like nearly 21 stone, man.
Really?
And it was straight into a hot. I mean, the heat was fucking mental. I've never experienced heat like that before.
Yeah.
Like, really struggled, man. Like,
is that part of the hallucinogenic thing? Like, because it's so hot, because you can like hallucinate.
You're questioning, like, straight away. My body was just failing me. Like,
fuck's sake.
It was you fly to Amsterdam, then it's Amsterdam to Lima, and then it's a private jet to somewhere. I can't even remember what it's called. 40
private
minutes.
jet to a mud hut.
Oh, mate. Then you're on a canoe up the Amazon. And
someone should have been fucking filming this, by the way. This is a show.
I know. I should have filmed it, but I offered a guy to come with me to film it, but then I realised it was going to be quite a personal thing.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, I actually want to do this proper. But straight away, like, I remember, it's quite embarrassing, man, but I was like, fucked. It was so hot, I was fucked before I even got off the boat. So I was like on the boat, like I was coming down a fucking Eckies or something. So I got to the boat, and these people from Peru were looking at me like I was an alien, right? Because I found out that they've never seen somebody that was fat. Right? And I had a massive ginger beard at the time. It was like down to there, and facial hair over there is just not a thing. So these
You're a
guys from
double
Peru,
threat.
No wonder you're so fucking hot, mind you. Jesus Christ. They're like weird like that.
they picked me up off the boat, and I was just getting like carried like arm and leg off the boat.
What a fucking emperor.
Aye, and I was like, I'm fucked. For this guy from Peru that doesn't speak English, I'm like, mate, I'm fucked. And all these huts are like a mile apart, and I get put into the first hut because I was fucked. So it was mental. But
So what? The huts are a mile apart, and everyone gets their own hut, or
yep, everybody gets their own.
and what's the point? So you're like isolated. You're taking mad hallucinogenics. Is it just to
So
see?
do you stay together when you're taking them?
When you're taking ayahuasca, you take them together. There was a hut at the bottom of a hill
Right.
that was like the spiritual place, and there's a shaman there as well. So we all sit round in unison in a circle, and he takes you through this ceremony of taking ayahuasca, and then you sit down. You've got a purge bucket as well. They give you a purge bucket, so you're sitting there with your purge bucket. It's a wee tiny bucket.
What, to white and shit?
Yep. And that was scary as well. It was
'Cause that's-
scary, man. It was a mental experience.
Because so ayahuasca, what is it like? Is it like a sort of stronger form of DMT or a more potent?
There's
thing?
DMT in it.
Right.
So I've smoked DMT as well, and it was quite enjoyable. I
Is
did
that
it.
in Amsterdam in the way?
No, that was in it. It was in my mate's flat in Vicky Road. About 9 years ago.
You don't need a fucking purge bucket when you're taking DMT, usually,
No.
do you? Right. So why do you need it for ayahuasca? and stuff?
Because ayahuasca, I think, is set up to completely purge your entire body from, I don't want to sound like a hippie here, right? But it's
Toxins.
like negative thoughts and stress and toxins, and you go through the process of actually purging, like just being sick.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, did you see anything? A couple of times when I took it, I was literally just being sick for 4 hours.
Just Donner
While-
meeting your way to
Oh,
in the
mate.
bucket.
You didn't do the detox, Darren.
Aye.
that's the fucking first reason that they make you fucking be sick.
Let's see
Just
if
to
you're a
make sure.
fucking liar. Just picturing Steve whiting up a roll in a Kit Kat. I can't help this guy, man.
But it's the most disgusting thing I've ever tasted in my life. Like, it got to the point that when I had 2 left, it fucked my head. Like, mental health was like, I don't want to drink that. It's so rancid.
Really?
It's so disgusting.
So what are you drinking? Is it like how you boiling mushrooms and drinking that kind of thing, or
So it's 2 different types of tree bark. It's got DMT in it as well. When you drink DMT, it's different for smoking it. I don't know the reason behind it. They put it in this big massive pot. It's like a fucking Disney potion, man. It gets blessed by a shaman, and it's like black oil. It's very similar to like oil. It looks like oil, and as soon as you drink it, you just instantly go.
Jesus
So
Christ.
the first time I drank it, I was sick. I coughed it up straight away, and then they made me drink it again,
Fucking
and
hell.
it was wild.
Was it worth it? Did you enjoy the experience, or
Well, did you have any hallucinogenic experience? Did you have any kind of DMT-like sort of experiences while taking the ayahuasca?
I remember one. It was like it was giving me like visions and messages of to be a better person.
Yeah.
So it was showing me situations when, say, I've been a wee guy, like 15 or something, and I've been in my mum and my dad's house, and I've said something cheeky to my mum and my dad, and then I've walked out. It was showing me that situation from my mum and my dad's point of view.
Right.
So by the time I left the house, my mum and my dad were sitting there, and my mum was like, why does he talk to us like that? I wish he knew that we loved him, and that type of stuff.
Wow.
fuck's sake?
So I remember thinking, God, I just want to tell my family that I love them, and I wish I wasn't so bad to my mum like when I was younger and stuff. So it was like that type of shit. But also like, you know, you think you've got depression and stuff, and I have had depression in my life, but it's not until you do something like that, you're like, yeah, my life is not that bad, because there was people there there was a guy there that was dying from a disease. There was somebody that was sexually abused when they're younger, and see, listening to them go through a purge,
Yeah.
It was the most intense fucking... I mean, there was a guy there that was purging, and it sounded like evil was actually leaving his body. Like it was a demonic... It was like an exorcism. It was a demonic thing that left his body that was going into this bucket. And even when I was purging, I could feel like depression. I could feel depression, stress, self-doubt actually leave my body. That's what it felt like I was purging. It was mental. Crazy.
What did they do with the bucket after?
It's got a barcode on it, man, for real. It's very fucking...
I'll give you a tenner to down that.
Aye.
Got a bucket of depression here, lads.
Aye.
There you
A
go.
dirty pint of pure evil.
Aye. Sorry, that got a bit too intense there. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm interested because, like, so see when you're saying about, like, hearing the people purging that have had these terrible things happen to them in their life. So, like, when it's hard to listen to, is it because, like, the more, like, fucked up things you've went through, the worse the purges? Or, like, while they're purging, are they talking about the stuff that they are seeing or that they've experienced and stuff before? Or is it literally just because they sound more like...
It's a bit of everything. It's a bit of everything, mate. Like, they're kind of reliving their trauma. So we're all there together.
Right.
And it's such a...
So would you explain to other people there, like, oh, I'm seeing my parents now and, you know, blah, blah, all that stuff you just said, like, to them? Would you tell them that?
I never told them as a group, but I did share it to the shaman and to a few other people. But there was one... I tell you, I don't think I've ever said this on a podcast, right? And this is true, 100% true. I don't know if it was just, you know, a self-conscious, like your conscience kind of shit. But and to be fair, she was sick, right? So it might have been that. But my gran was sick at the time, right? And I went over there, and a lot of the hallucinating stuff doesn't happen when you're taking it. Right. It happens after it when you're sleeping. So you get really crazy dreams. And the dream that I had was, it was my third day there. The dream was that I got back from Glasgow airport, and my dad was standing at his door, and I remember him having stubble, and my dad's never got stubble. He's like old school Glaswegian guy, like brute in his fucking face. So I remember thinking, that looks quite weird that he's got stubble, and he done that. Look, I'm really, really sorry. We didn't want to tell you this, but your gran died. And I was like, what do you mean my gran died? I woke up like that. Went down to the guy and I was like, I had a really fucking horrible dream, man, about my dad. Because you know what it's like with Scottish dads? You've never really got a connection. We love each other, but you don't really say I love you.
Yeah.
But it was very like vivid, like me saying I love my dad in this dream. So I told them, and they were like, remember that? Cut a long story short, I'm coming back from Peru, walking into my street. My dad's standing at the front door. He's got stubble in his face. Oh. I did that, what's wrong? And he's like, I've got some bad news. Your gran died. She died 3 days into when you went to Peru, and we didn't want to get in touch with you because we knew that you were away. So I'm sorry. And I'm like, holy fuck.
Hell.
That's crazy.
Exactly how I seen it in the dream is how it happened.
She's like fucking seen the future, basically.
Aye, and I don't know if it was a drug fucking psychosis drug thing that maybe I knew that she was sick. And maybe
that's amazing,
I don't know.
I'm always fascinated by it. I do think we can tap into some higher form of consciousness than we realise, and that, like, that's why I'm fascinated. I've never taken really anything, but I'm always fascinated with these sort of things, and that's a belter, man.
Yeah,
mate. There was a couple of things like that. I remember I had a dream that after the once taking ayahuasca, I had this dream that everybody there, we were all sitting in this hall in a park, and the grass was so green that it was like cartoon green. Right. And I remember looking at the sky and there was like no stars or anything. It was just jet black, and the shaman was speaking in English, and he said something along the lines of thunder and lightning is nature's music or something like that. And I woke up and it was like a flash flood and a thunder and lightning storm. I went down, we were taking ayahuasca. The next time we took ayahuasca, he's talking in his language, and the person interpreting. Is that even a word?
Interpreting.
Aye, cheers. Red group. I've totally fucked a good story there by the interpreting. He said in his language, it can be scary in the jungle sometimes. Thunder and lightning is nature's music. And when he said that, I was like, who the fuck told him that? So, hundreds of shit. Like,
fucking hell.
hundreds of shit.
Just spoilers.
For life.
I'm not having a stroke. But it was quite scary.
Was there any mad shit that happened that just never came true and you're just like, thank fuck that like you're
Dreaming you're playing for Celtic. And that.
still holding out hope for that?
There's things that, I mean, things have happened in your life that everybody's had a sad experience, or they've experienced grief or depression. So I went over there with a specific thing in my mind, like maybe that'll make me recover from this. And I did not experience anything with that. So if you're going over with one thing in your head, then the exact opposite will happen. But it was mental. Also, I'll tell you a funny thing. They were like, you're not allowed to masturbate when you're here. You're not. We had like a group fucking team talk, right? And it's like, when you're here, don't masturbate, because if you have a wank, it like fucks up the process. And everybody was like, yeah, completely. And I'm like, what?
Wanking while they're fucking giving the instructions.
I was like, I've not went one day without a wank since I've been 12. I've had a fucking cancer scare. Like, I had a cancer scare once, right? I went to a doctor, had to get checked for a lump. See, by the time I went home and I never, like, you need to find out, I was like, totally devastated. I'm like, a young guy, I've got a lump in my balls, man, I might die. I still had a wank. So I was over there, and I was over there, right, and I lasted 4 days without having a wank. And I remember thinking, I need
get the bucket.
My auntie's fucking heart exploding. I remember thinking, I need to masturbate. And I'm sitting there with this fucking ginger beard. You've got no phone or anything, right? So I just had a mad, flaccid fucking jungle wank. Like, there's nets there as well, so people could have walked past. But I had a wank. So see the Scottish guy told me, he's like, look, dance man, if you go over, just try your best not to masturbate, right? but if you do masturbate, you know, tell us and stuff, but, you know, don't worry about it if you do have a wank, but just try your best to follow the rules. And I had a wank, and I went down and I was like, mate, I'm so sorry, man, I had a wank last night. And he was like, that, you had a what? I can't believe you had a wank. And I was like, what? I try my best. And he's like, oh my God, I can't believe you had a wank. So he went away and he told the shaman that I had a fucking wank, right?
Grass.
And every single cunt in the fucking their community, they shunned me. They shunned us for like 2 days. And see, the next time I took, mate, I was like walking up to people like, all right, mate, how you doing? And they were like,
There's the masturbator.
So, the next time I took ayahuasca, it was fucking horrible. The entire thing was horrible. Like,
they're definitely giving you some if they're that annoyed at you, they're definitely right. But giving them a wee bit extra fucking punch juice here.
It was a scary trip, really scary trip, and they were like, "That's because you had a wank."
Were you watching your wank from all their perspectives?
All the guys
I apologise to them now. Actually, I can see why they were annoyed. So two things I want to ask about this, right? Was one is like, just in general, like, because a lot of people. Well, first of all, what did you get? What's the like big sort of takeaway did you get for the whole experience then? Like, in terms of like, did you come away with like a more widened perspective, or like did you see things in general? Or was it like kind of those like specific things, like the stuff you're saying about like your mum and dad when you're growing up and like those sort of psychedelic experiences? But did you have any of the kind of, I guess like everybody talks about the goddesses and stuff like with DMT. Have you ever had that? Did you have it there? And like, what did it change? What did you take out of it overall, would you say?
So I experienced the situation with the goddess, but I'll tell you what I took away from it first. I took away. This is when I roundabout just got sober. So I think I'm nearly, in December the 17th this year, I'll be 7 years sober.
That's brilliant, man.
When I went to
well
Peru,
done.
thank you very much. I still take Eckies now. No, thank you very much. So when I went over, I think I was approaching 1 year sober, and I was getting help from sober friends and all that stuff. And the people that were sober in my life, I was like, "Yous are all fannies, man. I don't know if sober life is for me."
Yeah.
So I went over there thinking about taking drugs and drinking alcohol again, because I was like, I'm only 28 years old. I'm a young guy. I'm not an alcoholic, because I'm like looking at other people and I'm like, I'm not as bad as that, so I can't be an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So the thing that I took away from it, I got a lot of visions and I got a lot of dreams, and it was showing me things like me 30, 40 years from now, and it was showing me like a really sad, old, unhealthy guy that was just abusing his body with drugs and alcohol, and I just looked grey and depressed, and it was showing me that. It was like, you've got two paths. If you go down this path, this is you in 30 years. And then it was showing me another path of like being like happy, healthy. The colours were like really bright. So the bad trip was like black and white, and then my happier life was just like technicolor happiness. And it was like, go towards the technicolor.
Yeah.
So I went there with an ungrateful feeling towards being sober, and I walked away with a gratitude towards it that
you've seen what it will kind of lead to.
And it's never left me.
Yeah.
And the urge to kind of drink or take drugs has never been there now. It's completely gone.
That's
And it was like, you need to look at, because you know me, like sometimes you see me and I'm like 24 stone, and then other times I'm like 11 stone.
Yeah.
You're like, what the
Even
fuck?
I sometimes see your tweets and it's like you'll be like making a smoothie or something healthy or whatever, and then it's like, I've just tanned a munchie box.
So there's like me in between.
Yeah. But I relate to that, because I've got my own version of that. Like, we've been up and down with food and things like that.
Yeah.
And
it was showing me that. It was like, you need to be kinder to yourself, because I'd like to think I've changed now, but a lot of my jokes were like, "Oh, I'll never have a girlfriend, you're a fat ugly bastard," which was a joke, but then it became
self-fulfilling prophecy.
I started to believe it.
Yeah.
And then people were like, "Mate, that's no funny, there's a viciousness to that, it's like self-hatred."
Yeah.
So I feel like that changed that as well.
Great, yeah.
So I became a lot kinder to myself. Things like, just a lot more at peace. And I would never say I was a jealous person either. I'm very grateful that I've never been jealous, but I did have a bitterness in my life that I was like, he's a cunt and all that stuff. That's never returned.
Right.
So I'm able to like look at other comedians that are doing well, and I would never think, how come they're getting that and I'm not getting that?
Yeah.
That it's removed that. It's made me happy with what I've got.
Aye.
And it's also made me realise that maybe, I'll use you as an example, like you getting the Kings.
Uh-huh.
So 10 years ago, I'd be like, how come that cunt's getting the Kings? But see now, I'm like, you get the Kings because you work harder than me. I'm not saying that I should get the Kings, but I can understand why you got it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can understand why Susie McCabe is doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
I can see it for the real point of view rather than the kind of jealous, bitter person.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that, and I can apply it to like not even work, it's family, friendships. So I'd be like, why is that person a cunt and he never came to my gig? Well, he's probably got something on in his life that is none of my business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made me understand it better.
Absolutely.
So I feel happy for that stuff.
That's
great, man. And it's so hard, particularly like we stand up and stuff like that. It's so hard to not compare yourself to other people and all that sort of thing. I always see it like a lot like the gym or whatever. Because see, anytime you're in a gym, you're always like looking at some fucking bulk guy and you're like, oh fuck man, like I'm sitting here, I'm just fucking getting back into it, and this guy, I'm never going to look like him. But I always just think like, but really all you're there to do in the gym is you're there to make sure that you're a wee bit better than you were before you went, and you're working on your own body. And it's the same with like we stand up or your career, whatever it is. It's like you're working on your own thing, so it doesn't matter there's a big bulky guy or there's somebody that's 10 years ahead of you, whatever it is, somebody that's not been going as long but fucking whatever. But like, all you're doing is improving on yourself, and that's the only way that you'll get better is to do that. And but it's hard to get that perspective, and so that's great that you got that out of it, man.
Yeah, it was really nice. I mean, even the first time, I mean, I used to have a thing where, I don't know if you notice it, probably can't notice it now because of like, you know, I'm older now, but when I was younger, when I was a kid, I fell off a bike and my tooth went through my top lip, and for a large period of my life, my lip was fucked. Like, and a lot of people used to tease me about it in school and stuff, and it gave us a proper complex. Yeah. And I've got a birthmark on my finger as well. So for years, I was like, I've got this fucking gummy sloth lip and this weird birthmark. And it was, I know like a birthmark is like nothing, but in my head, it fucked us for years.
Yeah.
So like going through that experience, taking ayahuasca, it made me like enjoy my quirks. Like, this is my part of my personality. So like sometimes if maybe I've got a girlfriend or something, she'll be like, oh, what's that wee scar on your lip, and I embrace it. And same with that, I went through like looking at NHS therapy, like surgery and stuff. I'm like, fuck it, it's only a birthmark. Who cares? Like, everybody's got their own wee thing in life, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's such a positive experience for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it's great.
It was, and see the first time, I mean, I feel like I'm probably sharing too much on this, right? But when I was younger, the Glasgow culture is everybody was mad for Eckies, right? And when I was a young guy, 16 to maybe 21, I took a lot of drugs. And I can't believe I'm fucking sharing this. No wonder I can't get a panto. But I remember once I went to a house party and I was there with very close friends, and I took a dangerous amount of ecstasy tablets to the point that I could have went badly. I took something stupid like fucking 18 Eckies or something like that. It was really,
that'll do it.
It was really stupid. I remember taking one and I just woke up and my face was completely fucking sunburnt, and I had all these lumps all over my face and my neck, and it was when I was younger.
You used to have a wank.
Right into the mirror. My pal had an empty for 2 weeks. I had to because I was too scared to go to the hospital. Because see, when you're that young, you think
get caught.
The police are going to get fucking hold or something. So I had to basically lie in my mate's house for 4 days, and I went through this fucking train spotting like detox, like hallucinating, coming off
dead
drugs.
Babies and
I've
all that.
shared too much in it.
No, this is fascinating.
So I'll get to the point. When I took DMT, DMT is a kinder drug, and I would recommend that to people. I wouldn't recommend ayahuasca, because it changes your entire reality. Right. But DMT...
Despite all the positive epiphanies, you still wouldn't...
I don't regret it, but if you want to take it, you need to research it. It is not fun. It's like... It's nothing like, oh, you know, you take a wee line and you have a laugh at a party and you regret it because you've got to come down the next day. This... Or see,
just
when
imagining someone in a gaff on ayahuasca. What the fuck's he on? Spewing blood.
You might line ayahuasca. or see if you maybe take acid or you take too many Eckies, you can think this will pass. This experience will pass. Yeah. Like, I'll be fucked for 10 hours, but I'll get at the other side. See, when you take ayahuasca, you're gone. Like, I forgot what my sex was. I forgot that I felt like my soul left my vessel, a body. Totally lose track of time. You don't know where you are. You think you're in another universe. It is a fucking... I can understand why people lose their mind.
Yeah. But, similar to how you described the panto earlier.
A Dundee panto, man. You get some done off it. But the first time I took DMT, after that, I got a vision or a message, and it was stop taking ecstasy. And I was a vegetarian at the time. Yeah. And it was be a better vegetarian. And see, since my first time I took DMT, I've never took a AK since.
No. Did have a big tasty last night though.
Yeah, two double cheeseburgers. But you were talking about I don't want to pure bore you with this chat.
That's what I ask. I'm interested.
You were talking about the green goddess.
The goddess, that's what everybody say. Because I remember talking to somebody before, and they said basically like a common thing that people say on DMT is like they get in touch. It's always like a feminine like sort of God or like energy or something like that, and let people talk about this. So what was your experience with that?
I got it with ayahuasca.
Right.
So I think it was the 5th time by that, because I went 5.5 days with no food. It was so hot. There was food provided for you, but it was so hot I couldn't eat.
And yet you had a wank after 3.
Is that how you actually wank? You've done that?
Is that not the way you're supposed to wank? I'll pull that face enough.
For the listeners, he's doing a double-hander. And it's
Aye,
a long
backwards
bob.
double
A
hand.
backwards double-hander.
And pulling the chin down as well. But by that time I wasn't even really drinking water, so I was dehydrated and I was fucked. And the 5th time I took it, I was purging, and it was really painful. It was a painful experience, and there was nothing enjoyable about it. And I remember just consciously thinking, I think I might die. Like, I think I'm going through the process of dying here. My body's failing, my mind's failing, and I feel like I'm choking on my fucking vomit. And plus, see, when you're hallucinating like that and you're holding a purge bucket, you don't even know. I didn't even know if I was being sick into the bucket. It was just, you're gone. So the moment that I thought, I think I might die, I had this experience of a green feminine like goddess. And I felt, to the point that I thought it was the shaman at first, standing beside me, because it looked like a shaman, but it was a female. That the real shaman was a guy. And I remember like putting my hand out to like touch her, and there was nothing there. And I was saying like,
Fuck, only having a wank.
You go Facebook, but I was like, I did say like, who is that? Who's there? And obviously I never get an answer. But as I was choking on my sick, I had this kind of feeling or message of, you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
You're okay. You're safe. And then I was choking on something. So I had this feeling that she sat beside me, and then I could see her hand at the bottom of my spine. And as she was raising her hand up, that's when I was being sick. So it was like she was making me purge, but when she was helping me through it, it was a better experience. And after it, I remember saying that to the guy. I was like, who was that was helping me? Like, I totally explained it. I was like, I thought somebody came up to me, and it was so real that I said to, like, I seen a woman come up and help me, but it was like a green, I felt like it was a green female presence. So I feel like I'm a fucking psycho for saying that.
No, it's fascinating.
Because what I'm interested in as well, so have you taken away any more of like a spiritual belief, a belief in the afterlife, there's something else out there, or do you go, okay, it was maybe just more like a hallucination or whatever? What did you take it away from it?
So
Like
I get raised a Catholic, and you know, the Catholic upbringing, it didn't make me believe in that, and I don't know if I believe in that anymore, but it definitely gave us a belief that there's something after death.
Right.
And it was very vivid and very strong that we are living behind a curtain. And I took ayahuasca and I got to peek behind a curtain. And it was very, very scary. Also, another thing that was really scary, I don't know why I done that, like I was fucking Elvis. Come on. There was a shared trip. Everybody there shared a trip.
The same visions and stuff.
We were all sitting around in a circle in complete silence. And I genuinely felt like we were communicating through telepathic messages. Like, are you alright? Yeah, I'm alright. Are you okay?
And everyone was saying this back to you, like, we felt this as well.
Yep. As I'm like that.
I'd
in
love
the corner
to be
of the fucking hut.
I'd love to be sober there, just watching you, mad cunts going off your nut.
Scary, man.
Because what surprised me as well about the wank thing is like you would think
Back
that,
to the wank.
No,
Aye.
but you would think that like it's funny that they say, "Oh, don't masturbate," not because you would think that like somebody would end up shagging each other on the thing.
Did you get your hole in a mud hut? Is what Jennings is trying to ask you.
Aye, it was after
Or
the
did anyone
orangutan.
shag?
Well, it was. I can understand now because they say that it's like life form and it's your
Aye.
energy and stuff. And I was exhausted after I had a wank, even though it was a shite wank. It was the worst wank of my life.
What's the best wank of your life, Darren?
After DMT. No, but it's so weird because like women were walking about with their tops off and stuff, and obviously if that happened in Scotland, it's a bit like strange, isn't it? Because nobody does that. But over there, like guys walking about with no clothes on and stuff, and it was very accepting. But I lost my train of thought there, man.
So nobody was
Well, they're
shagging
on
as
with
far
it.
as you remember.
Nobody was shagging that.
Ah.
Well,
I kind of derailed you when you were talking about you wouldn't recommend ayahuasca, but you would recommend DMT.
Yes.
What's different? Like, is it just sort of less involved?
So DMT just lasts for about 10 minutes, and it's not addictive. You don't get a come down. And after it, I was having like cups of tea and some biscuits, and you're sitting there with a cup of tea, and you're like, that was the most mental fucking thing I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like you've had a nice bath, like a warm bath, and you feel nice and relaxed. I had a lot of stress knots in my body, and it felt like they were popping, like just became so loose. But DMT, I would say anybody should take it.
All these weeks I've been trying to get sponsored by Greg's, and then we're going to get sponsored by DMT.
Aye.
Joe Rogan or some shit.
Aye.
You were saying that it was like almost like a peek behind the curtain to the other side or whatever. What was behind the curtain? Do you remember? Was it the Green Goddess or was it something different?
I feel like I'm going to bastardise this. It's like Catholic religion, well, supposedly it's like 2,000 years.
Yeah.
This was like millions of years. Like, this has been about for thousands and thousands of years, like before Christ.
Yeah.
Wasn't it a blue goddess though, was it?
I
Still a bit of Catholic, I don't know.
I kind of feel like I was just like, there's so much more to life than what we know.
So it was more of a feeling rather than like a vision.
Yeah, I can't remember a vision. I can't remember. Maybe there was, but
They just
I
felt
don't
like taking away something and you just kind of know.
it definitely took away the fear of death
Right.
for me. I mean, I'm not like obviously I don't want to die, but it's kind of took away that unknown. I'm
Yeah.
like, I think I'm gonna go somewhere when I die. I
Right.
just don't know where.
That's got to be the end of the podcast.
Yeah, no, surely. Have you ever tried to suck yourself off?
Most lad chat podcast ever, fucking DMT, wanking and sucking yourself off. We call it a Hawaiian blowjob, actually.
Obviously, I have.
Exactly.
When I
I
was
put a
younger,
lot of money on that.
In the mud hut.
when I was younger, I'm talking about 17 or something. I got the tip. I got the tip. Like, I was able to touch the tip with my tongue. I wasn't able to suck it, but I was able to lick it.
Well, doesn't it surprise me? If this is the way you're wanking, you must have some peace on you, Craig.
I've fucking I have got a good
For
banger
our
on
English
this.
listeners, we don't mean sandwich, by the way.
Well, if you want to see Darren try and suck his own dick, he is currently on tour. I don't know what your act is at the moment, Dan, but
The idea of you using that as a loophole, of, like, Shaman, you said we couldn't masturbate, but you didn't say anything about sucking someone.
thanks very much for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos, including clips and full episodes of the Some Laugh podcast.